Hi, everyone, and welcome to Domestic Violence and Pets, Removing Barriers to Shelter. My name's Danielle, and I am so excited to be able to join you today at the 2024 Co-Sheltering Conference. I'm here today representing RedRover, a 501c3 animal welfare nonprofit based in Sacramento, California. And our mission at RedRover is to bring animals from crisis to care. So a little bit more about me. Again, my name is Danielle Works, and I've been a community outreach coordinator for RedRover for just over 2 years now. Prior to that, I worked in the animal sheltering world for nearly a decade, where I had many different roles, from direct animal care to animal admissions, fundraising and events, and of course, community outreach. Before we dive into the bulk of today's presentation, I wanted to share just a little bit more about RedRover and some of our main pillar programs. The first one that I'll talk about today is RedRover Responders. So our responders, volunteers, and staff provide emergency sheltering assistance to animals that have been displaced, either through natural or man-made disasters or rescued from large-scale cruelty conditions. We will often work hand in hand with other organizations like the ASPCA and the Humane Society of the United States. And our volunteers and staff are deployed throughout the country, really wherever help is needed. Now, if you think this sounds pretty cool, I know I do, and you would like to get involved, we would love to have you join us as a volunteer. Head over to our website, redrover.org, to learn more information about how you can join us as a RedRover responder. The next program that I will talk about is our RedRover Readers program, which is dedicated to early childhood humane education. Our readers use animal-themed stories to help children build empathy skills, both for people and for animals. We offer a go-at-your-own-pace online course for any educators who would like to implement some of these stories and their accompanying lesson plans in their own classrooms. And finally, RedRover Relief, which is what we will spend a lot of time talking about today. Now, our RedRover Relief program provides financial assistance and support to pet parents in need. This could be pet parents in need of urgent veterinary care that they're just not able to afford, pet parents who are escaping domestic violence, and most recently, pet parents who are experiencing houselessness. And on that note, I wanted to take just a brief moment to acknowledge the deep connection that exists between domestic violence and houselessness. In fact, domestic violence is a leading cause of houselessness, particularly among women. And as many as 57% of women experiencing homelessness at any given time report that domestic violence was the immediate cause. And 80% of mothers with young children who are experiencing homelessness report that they have been previously victims of domestic violence as well. As many of us here today know, pet owners really struggle to access services. There are so many resources out there, both in the domestic violence shelter world and the homeless services world, that are just not set up to accommodate clients with pets. In a survey of more than 13,000 homeless individuals in LA County, 48% of pet owners reported being turned away from a shelter because of pet policies. Meanwhile, though about 65% of domestic violence survivors report owning a pet, only 18% of domestic violence shelters are actually pet friendly. This number, though, this 18%, is constantly changing, and I'm very happy to report that it is consistently going up. We have been partnering with our friends at domesticshelters.org to track this number very closely. And we have been doing that because of our 25 by 2025 campaign. In partnership with Greater Good Charities, PetSmart Charities, and Purina, we launched our 25 by 2025 campaign last year. The goal of this campaign is to ensure that 25% of domestic violence shelters are pet friendly by the end of 2025. Now, if this sounds like something that you would like to get involved in, you absolutely can. I really encourage you to visit our website, 25by2025.org. You can take our pet-friendly pledge, you can download our advocacy toolkit, and you can just learn a little bit more about pets and domestic violence and why co-sheltering is so important. So at RedRover, we talk a lot about co-sheltering and pet-inclusive sheltering. And it's something I know that My Dog is My Home are experts in. So we know that sheltering models that include programs for pets remove barriers to both housing and safety. And as an added benefit, pets are also a really wonderful source of comfort and social support, which can really help improve outcomes for their owners. Pets can improve our physical health, our psychological well-being. They can reduce our stress levels and even increase our feelings of self-worth. In fact, 91% of pet-owning survivors of domestic violence reported that their pet's emotional support and physical protection played a significant role in their ability to survive and to heal. So with that in mind, we really encourage service providers to shift their perspective a little bit. You know, it can be really easy to view pets just as a barrier to service, you know, something that is standing in the way of your client accessing the resources that they need. But we can be responsible for dismantling those barriers. And when we do that, we can unlock this really incredible potential that pets have to support the work that we're already doing, or that advocates and service providers are already doing. We like to say that pets can be a really powerful tool in an advocate's toolkit to help their clients recover and heal. And I really like to say that pets don't ask for a salary. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing all of those benefits that we saw on the previous slide. And those benefits can really help advocates do their jobs more effectively. And there are shelters all over the country right now that have established pet inclusive programs. And I want to spend a little bit of time today sharing some of these shelter stories with you. Now, I know my friend and colleague, Brenna Donnelly at Greater Good Charities, she's going to be presenting at this co-sheltering conference as well. And she's going to have a lot more to share with you about shelter renovation. But I wanted to just briefly touch on a few examples as well, because I think it can be very powerful and motivating to see what other communities out there are doing. So we will go ahead and start with Liberty House of Albany in Albany, Georgia. Now, they opened their doors to pets in November of last year. And with the help of RedRover and Rescue Rebuild, they created 3 on-site pet retreats for survivors' pets, as well as a nice fenced-in doggy play yard. So pet retreats are what we call this model of pet housing, which you can see in that photo in the top left there. And they're different from kennels in that they actually have full floor to ceiling walls that are very well insulated to reduce noise transfer between units. So as someone who comes from the animal sheltering world, I can tell you firsthand that dog kennels can get very, very loud. And this type of model just really reduces that noise. And as a byproduct, it also reduces pet stress. It allows pets to sleep much better, sleep through the night even. And it also creates a much more inviting space for pet owners to come and to spend time with their pets. As you can see in some of these photos, pet retreats are designed to mirror what a home might look like or feel like, but they are made with very durable materials and they're very easy to clean and sanitize. This particular shelter decided to use a prefab shed building, which they renovated, and they also added heating and air conditioning units as well. And if you take a look at that middle photo there, you'll see a tan building just to the right of the pet retreat building. So you'll see 1, 2, 3 pet retreats, and then that tan building there in the corner. And that is actually their shelter building where clients live. So the pet shelter is literally just steps away, and owners can visit their pets anytime that they want, which is wonderful. The next group I want to talk to you about is the Humane Society of the Ohio Valley in Marietta, Ohio. So as you can probably tell from the name, this is an animal shelter, not a domestic violence shelter or a homeless shelter. So in this community, the local domestic violence shelter in Marietta was not able to house pets, at least not at this time. But they still really wanted to be able to provide a safe place for their clients' pets. So they reached out to the Humane Society of the Ohio Valley, who agreed to provide temporary sheltering for them. They created a dedicated space to house survivors' pets, which you can see in these photos here. They have some really nice outdoor pet relief areas that dogs can access through a dog door, so they can go to the bathroom, they can get some fresh air. You can also see they opted for the pet retreat style model as well. And they did this because it was really important for them that pet parents have a comfortable space to come and visit with their pets. Now, I want to add that not all animal shelters do that, and that is totally fine. It is certainly not a requirement for an animal shelter or any other type of shelter that you use a pet retreat style model. Kennels are absolutely fine. Foster care is absolutely fine. It's wonderful. This is just what this particular facility decided to do, and they decided that that was what was going to work best for them and for their community. And the last shelter I'll talk about today is Partners for Peace in Bangor, Maine. And they opened up their doors to pets very recently, just January of this year. And I really love talking about organizations like this because they are one of the many shelters that we work with that opted for an in-room housing model. Basically, in-room housing just means that pets are going to live in the same space as their owners. So they're going to get to sleep in the same bed or next to their owner's bed. They're really just going to be able to spend most of their time together. And we love that. We love this model for a couple of different reasons. First, it really supports the human-animal bond, and both pets and their owners tend to be a lot less stressed when they don't have to be separated. Secondly, this in-room style of housing is by far the cheapest option. So if you are wanting to explore making your shelter pet inclusive and setting up a pet housing program, this is a great option for you if you're doing that on a budget. Partners for Peace here just made some very minor renovations to their client rooms. Any carpet that they had, they went ahead and just ripped that out and put down a much more water resistant and durable flooring. They added a couple of shelves and hidey boxes to their client rooms for cats. You can see those there in that top photo, just making use of that vertical space that cats love. They added some dog crates in rooms as well for dogs that are happy or okay being crated. Not all dogs are, of course. And they also went a little bit above and beyond and added an outdoor play yard for dogs, as well as a pet-friendly living room, which is really fun. I should add that they do still have another living room space for clients that don't want to be around animals. Sometimes clients have allergies or they just feel a little bit nervous, maybe around dogs. But these folks were able to find another space in their shelter, carve out another room that was able to serve as the pet-friendly living space. So everybody gets a space to be comfortable and happy and hang out. And I really just want to bring it back, always bring it back to the why. Why is it so important for shelters to be pet inclusive? We received this really wonderful message from a domestic violence survivor that went into shelter with one of our partner facilities shortly after they became pet friendly. And this is what she had to say. She said, "This project saved 2 lives because I was not going to leave my husband without my dog Chico. He means everything to me." And this really just drives home the point, you guys, that if our programs are not pet inclusive, then we're not adequately serving the people that we're supposed to be helping. Because so many people, their pet, they consider that pet to be an integral part of their family unit. For a lot of people, their pet might be their only family that they have. So if we're not including that pet in our support, then we're not including that client's entire family, and they are not going to come to us for help. But fortunately, there are ways for you to meet clients where they are and create a pet housing program for your community. And we at RedRover would really, really like to help you do that. So to that end, we have a couple of grant opportunities that I want to quickly go over with you. The first one being our Safe Escape grants. So our Safe Escape grants provide funding to help cover the cost of temporary pet boarding for clients that are living at a DV shelter. Now, this grant is specifically for clients that are housed at a shelter that is not pet friendly yet. And they need to be applied for on an individual basis, meaning an advocate will apply for a specific client with a specific pet. It's also important to note that a DV advocate does need to be the one to apply on their client's behalf. We do not accept applications directly from pet owners at this time. And unfortunately, clients do need to be living at a DV shelter in order to qualify for this grant. So we absolutely recognize that going into a domestic violence shelter is not part of every survivor's safety plan. Many survivors end up in homeless shelters. Many end up staying with a friend or a family member who also may not be able to accommodate their pet. But unfortunately, for this specific grant, survivors do have to be living at or transitioning into a domestic violence specific shelter. And the final thing that I will say about our Safe Escape grants is that we sometimes refer to them as our Band-Aid grants because they are really great at solving short-term problems. But in the long term, they can be a little bit more challenging. So as you can imagine, these grants are very expensive to maintain, and we have a finite amount of funds that we can devote toward them. We are getting more and more applications every year, every month, it seems like, which is really great because it means that more service providers around the country are recognizing the benefits of pets in their clients' lives. On the other hand, though, the funding that we have to support these grants isn't necessarily increasing at the same rate as our applications. So for that reason, we are really encouraging the shelters that we work with to start moving toward our safe housing grants. Now, the goal of these grants is to provide funding to help shelters create their own pet housing programs that they operate and they maintain. So we will provide up to $60,000 in funding that domestic violence shelters can use in a wide variety of ways. You might use your safe housing grant funds to renovate your existing space. Maybe you want to tear out your carpeting and replace it with something more durable like LVT or LVP. Maybe you want to buy some fencing material and build a dog play yard like some of the shelters that we looked at before. I will also add that all three of those shelters that we looked at earlier were recipients of our safe housing grant. You can also use a portion of these funds to pay for things like veterinary care. So we want to make sure that animals entering your program or entering your shelter are up to date on their vaccines. They have been spayed and neutered if the client is comfortable with that. You can also use a portion of your funds to cover things like transportation costs. So transporting pets to your shelter or back and forth to the vet's office. This grant is open 3 times per year. March 1st, June 1st, and September 1st are our application deadlines. All right, so historically, our safe housing grants have only been available to domestic violence shelters. But I am really excited to share with you all that just last month, we were able to open up a pilot grant program for homeless shelters for the very first time. So for our March 1st deadline, we were able to accept applications from homeless shelters for up to $100,000 in funding. And we received an overwhelmingly positive response with a lot of really excellent program proposals. Now, our team is still in the process of going through these applications, but we should be able to announce the recipients soon. Unfortunately, we can't say yet if we will be able to offer this grant again. It was a pilot grant program. But we are very, very hopeful that the many applications that we received will serve as a very compelling demonstration of community need to our funders that support this grant. If you are interested in applying for funding like this, I really encourage you to keep an eye on our website over the coming months. To see if we have any updates to offer you about our ability to offer this grant again in the future. And until then, we will keep our fingers crossed. All right, we are getting very close to the end, everyone. So the last thing that I want to chat about today is our Don't Forget the Pets project. Now, this project is very near and dear to my heart because I spend a lot of my working hours on this program. So Don't Forget the Pets is a collaborative project between RedRover and Greater Good Charities Rescue Rebuild. And I like to say that while our grants provide the financial support that shelters need to get started, Don't Forget the Pets kind of provides everything else. So we offer a lot of options for shelters that really boils down to step-by-step support to organizations that are interested in starting a pet housing program. And we do this in a variety of ways. So we offer both online and in-person workshops. We have a very extensive training handbook that you can refer to along the way to answer a lot of the most common questions that we hear from shelters around the country. We also have a library of sample documents where you can find things like example MOUs that shelters have created with vet clinics and other local providers, sample contracts and pet questionnaires, sample intake paperwork, really all sorts of things that you can refer to so that you don't have to build these items from scratch. And finally, we also offer one-on-one coaching to organizations that are committed to becoming pet friendly and just need a little bit of extra support to get there. We will walk you through all of the questions that you have, all of your concerns, any barriers that you have identified, and we're going to help you figure out creative ways to tackle them. And like all of the services that we offer through Don't Forget the Pets, our coaching program, and our workshops, everything that you find on our website is 100% free. So if this sounds like something that you would be interested in or you just like to learn a little more about, we would love to have you visit our website at don'tforgetthepets.org. All right, everyone. Well, that is my time for today. And I just want to say thank you so very much for joining me for the last half hour. It was such a pleasure to be able to chat with you all. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time and for the incredible work that I know you all are doing in your communities right now. So if you have any questions about anything that we talked about today or any RedRover programs that we maybe didn't get to cover in full, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is right there. It's Danielle@redrover.org. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to answer your questions. I would love to hop on a Zoom call anytime. That is really what we are here for. And very last thing, for anyone that is interested in some of the data that I presented today, I know I threw a lot of statistics at you, especially in the first half of today's presentation. But if that is something that you like and you want more of, these are some really great resources. And there is a lot more information to be had on these websites. So I really encourage you to check them out. So once again, thank you all so very much for your time, and I wish you just a beautiful rest of your day.